Hi, my name is Andreas Stuber, and I'd like to introduce you to the Customer Interaction API from ExpertFlow. So if we look at a typical contact center, you have many different components that usually don't talk together very well. You have the contact center per se, you have a CRM solution, you have maybe your marketing cloud where you generate the campaigns that you would like to generate. You have reporting platforms, workforce management, quality assurance, web collaboration, chat channels, satisfaction surveys, etc., etc. And usually you have solutions typically that provide exactly one service and that doesn't talk with another service. So for example, if you want to have a video IVR, you could, for example, use voice and combine that with a chat channel rather than to have a locked-in solution. Also, we now have a very exciting whole new area of data science, NLU, bots, artificial intelligence, many of which is open sourced. And we want to make sure with this API that you can actually use your AI or data science tools in a contact center environment. And in order to do so, we introduced a certain set of common objects that are used by most or all of those tools, which is a customer channel ID. So every customer has multiple identities, such as a mobile number, an email, Facebook chat ID, WhatsApp Messenger ID, etc., etc. Then you would have interactions by that customers and several activities on one particular interaction. You have tickets, and you might have calendars for that customer or for that agent, and you have a contact center agent. So this is an overview over the object model. So again, you have customer. A customer can have many interactions. One interaction can contain many activities, and an activity can be something like one chat message. You can have one or multiple call legs in a phone call. So for example, one towards the agent, one towards the supervisor. If you have a conference call with multiple parties, you would have multiple SIP legs. You can have call tags, wrap-up codes. You might have questionnaires, agent guidance tools for the call center agents, surveys, satisfaction surveys by the customer, by the supervisors, quality assurance scores. And those activities are then tied to an agent or a chatbot or any other object that is able to interact with those activities. And on the other side, you have identities as a company with which you want to interact with your customers. Per customer, you might have multiple tickets, and then you obviously want to access all those objects from your CRM or your marketing tool in order to give you access to those objects. So for example, if you would like to access a chat message, you can do this via a customer, generate a query, go through a particular interaction activity, and then access a particular chat message or access a particular recorded voice file. The same API or similar APIs are available for marketing clouds, where you can generate a campaign and export that as a list. And this is then imported as a campaign to be executed. This can be an SMS campaign, a chat campaign, a call campaign, etc. So these are the main objects, and fundamentally the customer interaction API is a messaging bus first and foremost. It's a Apache Kafka based messaging bus. So we collect a lot of information from the contact center at a very granular level. You can go down all the way to DOM events, which are events that are generated if your customer, for example, is browsing a screen, or individual chat messages, etc., so that you can use those activities to extract valuable information in real time during an interaction. This information is then stored, and then you can extract that for your reporting purposes. So let's just have see a couple of examples of how the customer interaction API is actually used in real life. So first, this is the award-winning hybrid chat solution, which won a global award by Cisco and Google Dialogflow. Here we see a customer interacting via multiple chat channels, so WhatsApp Messenger, SMS, web chat, etc. chats are received by the hybrid chat framework from ExpertFlow, underneath which you have customer interaction management sitting as an object model. And a chatbot then continuously listens to those conversations and gives to the agent this is the agent interface, the information that he was able to recognize. So these are the intents and the entities that the bot recognized, and the bot also gives suggestion as to the next appropriate answer. So how does it do that? It basically receives an activity, which is a customer message. The bot extracts intents and entities. The bot then suggests an answer, and after a certain timeout, it will send the answer. Also, this timeout is set based on the confidence score of the bot. If the confidence score, and this will be longer if the confidence score is low, if an agent does not do anything, the bot message will be sent by default. If the agent overrides this message, this will trigger a rollback of the bot's logical conversation state, so that the bot will ignore the previous message or the message that he sent. So the bot is then again synchronized with the actual state of the conversation, and every time that the agent overrides it, the bot is then rolled back. And each time that the message is accepted, then you just continue with the messaging. So what do we have at the messaging level? We have chat interaction here as an interaction at the top level. We have multiple activities being individual chat messages. We have a tool that is capable to extract intents and entities, and we have a conversation engine that will, based on this sequence of intents and entities, predict the next appropriate action. So this is basically the logical structure how we use this tool. So first of all, you have lots of different types of activities. You can generate your own type of activities with your own messaging scheme. You can then forward those. You can subscribe to those events or have actors subscribing to those events, which can allow you to extract things such as identity, intents, entities, emotions, or anything you would like to extract from speech or from a message or from something that the agent did or acted upon. And based on these analyzed objects, you can then predict and automate things. So you can say, well, if the conversation was like this and like that, then the next action should be like this and like that. You can execute those actions directly, or you can just give suggestions to the contact center agent. For example, blend in articles that are relevant at that particular state of the conversation, or set the CRM solution into a particular state. This is an example for a voice call. This is a very basic interaction. So you have a SIP leg towards a call leg towards the customer, a SIP leg to the agent. The agent might fill out a questionnaire. This is again an activity. Then you might have a supervisor barging in, listening to that conversation, and the supervisor might do an internal secret chat to the agent. So these are all activities that are tied to that particular interaction, and by that to that particular customer. If you add media on top of that interaction, for example, if you capture the media stream that we provide, you can store this media as a recorded voice file, and by that you then basically have a simple voice recording solution, such as is shown here. So basically every call leg here becomes one activity, and all the legs of that particular call from a customer's perspective are grouped as one interaction. And these are all stored under the interaction and accessible and identified by the interaction. If you have another case, for example, an outbound campaign, you first have a list of customers to contact. And for one particular interaction, you might need to have multiple call attempts to the customer until you finally reach him. Then you have a SIP leg towards the customer, an agent SIP leg, guidance results, and then you can store all this stuff in your in an external database, in your encrypted or not. So that you have PCI DSS compliant. And at the end of the conversation, you might have a score by the supervisor or a satisfaction score by the customer, again attached to this interaction. So basically afterwards you can say, well, okay, what was my score by the supervisor or the satisfaction score given by the customers for a particular customer segment, etc. So you will be able to extract all this information with your data warehouse. Another example is hybrid chat. So as we saw, you have messages bouncing back and forth between the customer and the chatbot and or the call center agent. If at some point you decide to have a multimedia interaction with screen sharing, co-browsing, video and voice, this would generate a zip leg or a WebRTC leg, possibly also co-browsing information such as DOM events. And again, all those events and activities are attached to the interaction. So you can then group and view those interactions nicely grouped together. A visual IVR. What is visual IVR from customer interaction API's perspective? So a visual IVR is typically, first you have an IVR session with some IVR data that you might collect. Then the IVR might send out an SMS with, for example, a web link to the customer. Then the customer basically starts a web chat on his mobile phone. Or if you already know the chat identity of the customer, for example, his Facebook channel, you could basically have a visual IVR over his Facebook messaging API. So instead of punching into his mobile phone 1, 2, 3, 4, he can then, the customer is then able to add rich information over either a chat tool of your choice or over a basic web interface. So this collects a lot of information from the customer regarding why he is calling, what he's calling for, and then the call can be handed off from the IVR to the agent. And you have this call leg with the agent, and then the agent might send at the end additional information via SMS to the customer. So that's visual IVR. Chat, what is chat? So chat is basically, or hybrid chat. Here you basically see all the activities of the type chat for that particular customer. And the field here where we give you suggested, or the chatbot gives you suggested answers, is basically just generating an activity by the agent. So the agent could choose here to, if he does not do anything, it will just send a chat message over the existing chat channel or the most recent chat channel. But you can also here change the interaction channel through which you want to chat with the customer, or you can add a new media here, for example, web collaboration, WebRTC. You can call back the customer, or you can have the customer call into a certain number by sending him an SMS which contains the information to call in. So basically, a chat window is nothing else than the customer interaction history for that customer over the channel chat. So you can set a filter and basically just see all the chat events. The enrichment by the NLU engines are shown inside of the messages, so it's like meta information here. So for example, I see the intent that the bot recognized for that particular sentence here, and here I see the actions that the bot suggests. So things that I recognized are shown here, things that I suggest are shown down here, and this then allows the agent to take activities in the example of chat, for example. Now let's have an example of a typical phone call to go beyond chat only. So you have a customer call leg, you have an IVR, you have an agent call leg, and now during this conversation you might want to add fantastic open source NLU and AI tools which allow you to do speech recognition, emotion recognition, identity, biometrics, you can do ASR and so on. So there are a lot of open source tools, and basically we give you access to those voice streams in a compact format that can be exploited by any library of your choice for those advanced voice technologies. And once you process those events, you can push those events again to the CIM messaging bus, from where we will forward the information to the agent desktop. And the agent desktop can then consume the events that were recognized by your engines. So the cool thing here is basically we take care of all the messy interactions with the contact center, with the voice stream, with the agent desktop, with CTI, with media routing, etc. So you basically just add your voice recognition or NLU or voice biometrics engine of your choice. This you download it from GitHub if you want to use something open source, or you have your own special sauce, and you can then push that to the agent desktop. And basically what we can also do is if the agent does certain things on his screen, this can generate screen events, such as DOM events if he's using a web browser. And what you can then do is to take those screen events to tag voice calls. So for example, if an agent is hovering over a new screen for an address change and he's entering a new address, this information could be used to tag the voice file that immediately preceded that particular action of the agent. So if the agent is capturing an address or a number, it's very likely that in the voice stream of the customer immediately preceding this particular event, there is something where the customer asked for an address change. So this basically allows you to use the information generated by the agent desktop to tag information that happens on another channel, for example, the customer call. And this basically shows you a little bit how those activities are accumulated and what they can be used for. So you can actually use it for very sophisticated tagging and extraction of information during a conversation, and it's completely open, so you can basically use your own engines, your own desktop, your own NLU engine of your choice. So again, one interaction has multiple activities. This is a screenshot over the interaction module as it's shown today. It's a OpenSocial or /Apache sharding interface. If you don't like the interface, you can use an interface of your own and just directly use the APIs that CIM provides. Now, we've built a couple of entry-level solutions that use CIM, one of which is the hybrid chat solution, visual AVR, multi-channel outbound campaign management, satisfaction survey, call tagging, voice recording, quality assurance. Again, it's not at the same level as Zoom or NICE or Variant or those guys, but it's a basic recording engine, and our main scope is here not the recording per se, but to give you access to the voice stream in a normated format, so you can then do basically whatever you want with the voice stream. Agent guidance, call scripting, customer profiles, customer interaction history, all this is available as an application or as applications that sit on top of CIM. And again, you can create your own applications that use those objects in real time and at the historical level. Now, all of this would only be half as exciting if it was not tightly integrated with the contact center. And here is an example how we do this with Cisco Unified Contact Center Express or Enterprise. So we are using the media routing API that is provided. So the Cisco Unified Queue API of Social Miner for UCCE. And we use CTI events to detect present status from Finesse in a UCCX environment to do media routing. We use Cisco Finesse with Apache Shinding for the supervisor or the agent desktop. Then information that we extracted from those events are converted into a SQL format and then extracted into Cisco CYC. We also provide you means for media capture, such as voice and chat, for which we are basically working with Cisco Call Manager and Cube and JTOPY. We're interacting with the Cisco Dialer and Cisco CVP and IP IVR. So we actually do all the messy work that those interfaces typically provide you. I mean, they're very good APIs, but we basically take care of interacting with those APIs so that you can really focus on your business case. From an architectural perspective, everything is running on Docker containers, which you can orchestrate with Kubernetes or OpenShift. So you can have this all on-premise. And underneath, and that's very important, we use a Kafka messaging framework. So the whole security, redundancy, failover, identity, data abstraction, failover, etc. Here we are fully leveraging on the Kafka messaging framework. So CIEM is basically just some special messages that sit on top of a Kafka environment. And we then export this data to MongoDB, which is a fully extensible database from where you can then extract it. And from there, you can convert it into a SQL format, which is then more normalized information, such as Cisco CUIC format. So in the current release, we only provide an on-prem solution, but we are planning to provide the service as a service, so software as a service with a complete CI/CD environment. And you can then choose to have all those customer interaction services hosted by us in the cloud, or have a hybrid model whereby we give you access via a CI/CD stream to the newest software, and then you download whatever software you want to install. And the data isolation is done again via Kafka. So with Kafka, you have the possibility to have your own certificate authority for your own data, and then you would have your Kafka brokers, which means all your data would only be stored on your Kafka brokers on your servers, and you could then choose to have the application layer being hosted by us. So the whole logic and the newest user interface and bug fixes and stuff like that would be handled in the cloud, but the data is stored only and entirely on your Kafka brokers, on your servers, on your Docker containers. And in case your servers here reach capacity, the frameworks such as Kubernetes and OpenShift will add automatically new, if properly configured, will add new servers, or you can configure the servers in a way that we automatically extend your capability so that if your servers are full and not able to handle this capacity, then it's just offloaded to our servers. So we would basically just serve as a overflow capacity to capture more data instead of throwing it away, and then you can take all your time you need to either build your new servers or remove data and reduce data. That's it about Customer Interaction Management API from Expertflow. Thank you very much for watching.